Hi, I'm Darryn Farrugia and welcome. So this is the September update of my single stroke roll resolution, and how's it going? Well, you know, I still seem to be stuck on a plateau, but I've made some changes that I think will actually help me in the long run. It's pretty amazing because, you know, doing this every day, I'm really becoming aware of the limitations of my technique. And, you know, it's sort of a mixture of frustration and enlightenment, let's say. So I've made a few changes and I'm going to discuss those with you. So when I look back on last month's video and the very beginning of the video where I'm playing a single stroke roll at 184 beats per minute, I noticed that that was played entirely with the fingers. Now, you know, going back a few months when I was only practicing on the dead surface, which I call Peter Blick's contraption or the contraption, I found that transitioning from that surface to a practice pad was really difficult. My hands wanted to just immediately go to fingers. And so one of the changes that I've made in the last couple of weeks was only practicing on a practice pad, but using little to no fingers at all. In fact, just really using wrists. Now, having said that, I'm kind of using a locked grip, but I'm not holding the sticks tight. I'm trying to avoid tension. So it's kind of meant that I've had to slow the tempos down a little bit, but I'm playing off the surface of the pad, and I'm not using my fingers, or at least I'm not relying on my fingers. What I'm trying to do is develop my wrists. If you look at video clips on YouTube of, you know, Buddy Rich playing a single stroke roll and Dick Cully, who I've mentioned before, those guys play blisteringly fast single stroke rolls using just the wrist. And I'm referring specifically to traditional grip. So rather than, you know, playing only with the fingers at those faster tempos, those guys are still hammering out wrists. I had some lessons with Joe Morello many years ago, and he talks about the wrist as being, you know, the main engine, the main motor, and the fingers really just being the turbo, I guess. So the fingers really are the icing on the cake. So what I'm trying to do is develop my wrists by turning the forearm and not relying on the fingers. Obviously you get to a point, you know, a tempo where the fingers do actually kick in, but at this point I'm really trying to use my wrists. So how am I doing that? Just let me demonstrate this first. So you can see that I'm really just turning the forearm on my left arm. I'm not trying to use fingers. I'm not trying to revert to fingers. I'm just trying to strengthen the wrist. But I like doing this on the pad because it means that if I want to transition from wrist to fingers, I can do that. Whereas there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to transition to fingers on a dead surface. So I'm really enjoying developing that control over the pad by, you know, changing or transitioning from wrist to fingers. What you heard me play at the start of this video was a single stroke roll at 176 using that exact method. At 184, it's the difference between two approaches. The first approach that I was playing up until a couple of weeks ago was pretty much just using fingers in this fashion. Because I realized I don't have a lot of stamina with my fingers and because they're much smaller muscles, I really needed to look at developing the wrist at that tempo. So here's the same tempo but using wrist. You can see that those two techniques are quite different, and I think they actually sound different too. I think, you know, using more wrist, and again I'm referring more to the left hand in my case, using more wrist actually produces, you know, a stronger sound, I think. Also in last month's video I mentioned that I'm doing a little bit more work on, you know, the weaker side. So again, more exercises for my weaker hand. One of the exercises I spoke about last week was an exercise called the singles routine. I left a link to that from a previous video that I did sometime last year, but I've also introduced another exercise called Endurance Exercise with Fill-Ins, and it comes from Joe Morello's Master Studies book, page 75. That's a really great exercise. So if you don't have that book, I urge you to check that out. That's one of the greatest technique books ever written. Now I do play that exercise at a slower tempo, maybe about 160, and just focusing on using my wrists, no fingers, again on this practice pad and not on the dead surface. In last month's video, I also mentioned that I was going to discuss some finger control exercises where we take the individual hands and actually combine them into single stroke rolls. I demonstrated part of an exercise last month which involved playing 7 strokes per side. And then filling those gaps with the opposite hand, so effectively we get single stroke rolls. So we go from this to this. Etc. Now you can do that with all of the stroke roll rudiments: 5 stroke, 7 stroke, 9 stroke, 11 stroke, so I'm bypassing the 10 stroke, 11 stroke, 13 stroke, and 15 stroke. So it's really good to practice getting those finger exercises interlaced so that you're not just practicing one hand at a time, but getting both hands to work together. So that's the finger control exercise that I'm playing at the moment. Any type of short burst singles exercise will work. So for example, something like playing 2 beats of 8th notes and then 2 beats of 16th notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those types of things, maybe 3 beats of each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So any exercise like that is going to help, provided you're using fingers at those faster tempos. But for me, this last month, you know, again, more frustration, but making that transition to using the wrists on a surface like this, on a practice pad, has been really helpful. And I'm just going to persist with it. I don't think I've gotten any faster since last month's video. And, you know, like I've said in the past, I'm really learning a lot about what I'm capable of doing and what I'm not capable of doing. And I don't even know if I'm going to get to my goal. But, you know, hey, I've learned a lot on the way, and I've actually developed a lot on the way too. That's where I'm at for this month. Hopefully next month we'll see improvements in speed, etc., etc. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the like button, and remember to hit the notification button so that you know when I've uploaded a video, which is every week. So until next week, have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye.